Hey guys, this is Mitch of All Trades and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a nurse practitioner. And this channel is all about my life as a new MP and everything that surrounds it. If you're an oldie but a goodie, I just want to say welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for clicking this video and continually to support this channel. So today's topic, we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. This has been something I've always felt for a while, and to talk about it is pretty bold of me, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed, especially because as I continue to show you guys my journey of where I started and where I am now. And I think, with me going on to these new levels, new roles, new jobs, new titles, new positions, new degrees, I can't, ignore the fact that it comes with a lot of challenges, and imposter syndrome is definitely one of those things that is commonly faced. Now let's go to the dictionary. According to the Oxford Dictionary, imposter syndrome is known as the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So basically it's just like when people feel like what they've achieved is not because of their merits. They feel like an imposter, they feel like a fraud, they feel like they did not, for whatever reason, earn something that they obviously physically earned. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because, if I'm being completely honest, with everything that I've shared with you guys, I've definitely felt that imposter syndrome sometimes, or most times I would say in my career. Usually I find myself being like the youngest in my field, like whether it's at my job, I'm always like one of the youngest. If I'm not one of the youngest, I'm like maybe the minority. And I feel like I'm one of like the procrastinating type because I'm working on it, but I have this tendency of procrastinating a little bit and not always being on time with things. And even in school, like that's kind of how I used to operate, where I found myself being last minute. Again, not really intentionally, but sometimes I would like submit things last minute, but I'll study last minute, but I'll still do well, like Excel and all that stuff. And in a way, I did feel that imposter syndrome, whatever, because I felt like I was able to get things that people maybe like spend a lot of more time working on. And because of that, there's always that idea in my head where I feel like a fraud, or I feel like, oh, it's just by luck, or, you just made it in, or kind of thing. If you're watching this video, or if you've been watching my channel, I'm sure you have some kind of desire to pursue different things, or you have goals that you want to achieve in life. And I feel like as you continue to step from one stage to another, there might be that moment or some moments where you might feel imposter syndrome. So it's good to always find it and identify it and be able to overcome it so it doesn't hinder you from moving forward with your life or whatever goals or aspirations that you have in your future. I'm going to talk about 4 things that I do, right? 4 things that I do to help me deal with imposter syndrome. Number 1, I rely heavily on my faith. I'm well aware of the opportunities that I've been given and the achievements that I've had. And I know fully that it's really not just by my own works or by my own knowledge, that it's God's favor. Like that's what I believe, that I feel like I had God's favor, and it helped me be able to get in to these opportunities and be able to excel in the way that I have. So with that being said, I know already that I have something that I can rely on that's, a higher power for me. So when I'm faced with feelings of inferiority or the imposter syndrome, I try to remind myself of, verses that I've read in the past that talked about, God hasn't given me fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, or some might say of discipline. So basically, fear is not something that I should hold on to. So basically, just having these things to encourage me helps me deal with imposter syndrome, because I remind myself that, okay, I'm here for a reason and I'm here for a purpose, and it would speak for itself. My good work and my hard work will eventually speak for itself, and I should make sure that I don't let fear cripple me. I think sometimes what you do is you have to combat any negative talk with positivity and encouragement, because when you dwell so much on that negative thinking, it does suppress you, and you start to identify with it when necessarily that's not the truth, right? So it's always good to make sure that you have that mental strength to push through. And even though you are battling with these thoughts that you feel like a fraud or whatever the case is, try your best to remind yourself of the good things. Remind yourself of things that are encouraging. Another thing, which I feel like might be a little more practical to identify, is triggers. Now, it's always important to know what triggers you, because sometimes the imposter syndrome feeling that you might have might just be transient, or it might be something that can be easily eliminated by identifying the triggers. Now, is it what someone said that started to make you feel like an imposter? Is it what someone did that made you feel like an imposter? Is it something that you saw, something that you exposed yourself to? And this could be just little comments that you might hear at work or in school. Honestly, like, just being real with you, like, with the life that I've lived, people have said comments left and right. And if I held on to these comments, it would cripple me. Like the young or pretty, or, this, you shouldn't work in this role. You belong on as a model, or whatever the case is. Or maybe I'm not experienced enough. I just got here. Like, just little comments. And obviously, like, those words, it can definitely be triggering. It can definitely leave you feeling some kind of way if you hold on to it. But I think it's important to know and identify those triggers and really not let it get to you. Because if you know that this is something that can trigger a feeling or an emotion that you don't want to have, then it's important to identify it early on and eliminate it. So whether it's filtering the conversations, limiting the conversations you have with said people, or maybe making more conversations with other people that are encouraging in their words, like just being able to balance and filter what you want to intake in, what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear, is an essential way of handling with imposter syndrome. Number 3 is to give yourself grace and compassion. This is what I had to understand. When you are one that likes to achieve a lot, or you're overly ambitious or an overachiever, perfectionist, whatever these titles are, whatever they want to call you, it's easy for you to feel hard on yourself. I remember when I first started working my new job as an NP, and it's like, first of all, like, y'all already know, like, this is my new role in pediatrics. So I need to understand that I won't get everything in one day. Like, I won't be able to know every single thing all at once. Everyone else knows that, but how come I can accept that? Like, it hasn't even been a year of me working. And, there are times that I'll often get frustrated. Like, how come I don't know this? How come I don't know that? How come I don't understand it? This is a little confusing. How does he know it and I don't? How does she know it and I don't? But, it's important for you, and I guess me, it's important that I learn how to give myself grace and understand that, okay, Rome was not built in a day, right? So eventually time will come. I will develop the experience. I will get there. Focus, celebrate on what you have accomplished and what you've attained, and don't focus on what you haven't. And that's something I've learned. I've learned that I'm a walking progress, or working progress. Am I working progress or walking progress? I think it's working progress. I'm a work in progress, and I will get there. So in the meantime, be compassionate with yourself, give yourself grace, give yourself time, applaud yourself for what you've accomplished, and know that over time I will get better. Like, really, 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 really. I can't stress that enough. Like, it's very important that we give ourselves grace. We are not robots. We are not perfect, and we shouldn't act like it or demand that from ourselves. We are flawed people who are learning or trying to get ahead. Like, so there's enough time for me to learn everything I need to learn in life. If I don't know it now, that doesn't mean I won't know it later. This is something that I've learned, and I continuously learn how to incorporate into my life in order to deal with imposter syndrome. And this point connects to my last and final point, which is comparison. I think comparison is a thief of joy. Comparison definitely hinders people from realizing their worth. And it also ties into people feeling like imposters, right? You compare yourself to other people. You have to understand that everyone has different journeys in life. Everyone has different pathways and life journeys. Like, you cannot look at someone else's and try to emulate that. Like, it's not going to work, right? You can't try to look at someone and think that you have to be like them. It's not going to work. Again, this is easier said than done, but these are things that you have to remind yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy, and you don't want to compare yourself to others, because then you start to look at yourself as inferior Again, disregarding the many things that you probably accomplished, disregarding the many things that you've learned to do, or the many talents or gifts that you have. Like, come on. What I do actually to combat comparison is I compliment, like over compliment. I remember one of my favorite preachers, he mentioned that, like, in order to deal with comparison, you have to combat it with complimenting. Because I think once you do that, it eliminates you from being jealous and envious, and then you want to have what they have, again, disregarding what you have. So that is something that I've learned, and I try to do that as often as I can, as quick as I can, because at least for me, if I start going down this road of comparing myself to other people, it starts to become more, negative, and I start to be envious. It can lead to, resentment and stuff like that. But once you start identifying it, and instead of going that route, you easily just compliment, oh my God, you're so great. You know what you're doing. Oh, wow, that's great. You're this, you're that. You're so knowledgeable. You're so smart. Again, one, it uplifts the other person, but also it gives you that ability to not find yourself envious, but maybe rather impressed, inspired, and then it channels it in a more positive and healthier way. And I think that's something that needs to be identified early on, so that it doesn't lead to more negative outcomes. And that's something that I try to do in order to deal with imposter syndrome, because we all can learn from each other in different ways, especially like in this role that I'm in of healthcare. I am always going to be working with other people. I'm not usually going to be working by myself. It's going to be coworkers and colleagues I'm going to work with different backgrounds, different ideas, different mindsets, different perspectives and thinkings. And when we're dealing with patient care and collaboration for patient needs and all that stuff, I have to be open-minded. I have to be willing to work with people and not feel so targeted or feel so easily triggered or feel so envious of people. And I think all this stuff segues into imposter syndrome. And once you're able to identify these things, identify your triggers, identify, ways that you might be comparing yourself to others, not giving yourself grace and compassion, and also living in fear of whatever the case may be. I think once you're able to notice these things and deal with them, it helps you so much in just overall that idea of being an imposter. Because, man, that feeling is no joke. Like, it's such a hindrance to people. Like, I know a few people that maybe they have a potential of doing certain things, but because they don't feel like they are good for that role, it hinders them from really trying or even stepping into what I believe is, something that's a part of them, or something that should be brought out in them, whether it's a gift or an idea or a concept or whatever the case is. So, man, like, this is not only just for healthcare or nursing or whatever, the hospital setting. I think this is life. Like, don't let it choke you. Don't let it hinder you. Don't let it block you out from your blessings and the things that you're supposed to achieve in life. And that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I feel like I can touch more and talk on and on and on and on and on about imposter syndrome, but this is just a brief summary and a quick, 4 tips that I wanted to give you guys. If you have anything else that you wanted to discuss, or you have more contributions or comments on this topic, feel free to comment down below in the comment section. Again, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it to your friends, anyone that you believe will be able to benefit from this video. I'm sure that this can be relatable not only just to nursing or life as an MP, but just in life as general. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying these videos that I put out. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for watching this video. And until next time, bye.